You know when you get all excited about your New Year's resolution to lose weight, and then a couple days later, no more than 2 weeks later, you're splat right back in to the same old patterns. How frustrating is that, right? Welcome back to the JoLynn Braley Show. Today is episode number 377, and today I am sharing with you 7 secrets to win with your weight in 2020 as a way of celebrating these first 7 years since the JoLynn Braley Show launched all the way back in January 2013. Yay! Hello. Welcome back to the JoLynn Braley Show. I'm so glad you're here. And before I forget, before I get into today's topic, and before I even share with you a little bit more about myself, just in case this is your first time tuning in, I just want to say that if you are a loyal podcast peep of the JoLynn Braley Show, and if you've been following along with me for the past several months, I've been talking about one of my newest inner self diet coaching clients who got going and enrolled in the inner self diet back in November. She's the one I talked about in episode number 370 of the JoLynn Braley Show. So if you haven't heard that one, you can go back and listen to it now. That's episode 370. And I shared with you her real life story of the fact that her urge to binge eat stopped immediately as soon as she enrolled in the inner self diet. And I have to tell you that this is it's not an expected occurrence. It's not an expected result. And I would not tell anyone else that they could get the same result. But it's really interesting because this is a second client now since I have been coaching professionally since 2009. This is the second client who stopped binge eating right upon enrolling in the inner self diet. Well, the other one, that's Sally, episode number 292, she stopped binge eating within the first 1 or 2 weeks, which is still, that's just unheard of, okay? So anyway, today's update here in January, all right, 2 months later, this is the January 9th, 2020 podcast episode of the JoLynn Braley Show, episode number 377. This new client who enrolled in November, she is still free of her binge eating. She has not been binge eating ever since enrolling, and she is just moving step by step, closer and closer and closer to her ideal weight. She has 20 pounds to drop, and usually in the inner self diet, most of my clients, they are not at their ideal weight before we are done with the coaching that we do together, because the weight loss portion, that takes the longest amount of time. But just imagine if you could get into the zone where you are able to live healthy and fit, and you're able to experience and live in a healthy relationship with food instead of being in a toxic relationship with food. What if you could be in a healthy relationship with food where food is your fuel, you respect it, and you live in a way that you're eating in the way that is best for your body to release the excess physical weight that you are currently carrying around. And if it was just not a big deal, if you stopped cheating on yourself, if you stopped sabotaging yourself, does it make sense that you really would be able to get the weight off? Does this make sense? Okay, so that's what she's doing. And I wanted to give you that little update. And then I've got another update about my super awesome client, Z, who I know I have shared podcasts with you previously about Z. And Z was also 20 pounds overweight when she enrolled in the inner self diet. But the thing is that her biggest challenges were very limiting thoughts and roadblocks that she didn't even realize were within her. And she couldn't even remember the fact that she used to be smaller. She actually had size 6 jeans in her closet. And she was so caught up in the fat mindset. Remember what a fat mindset is? FAT, fear attracting thoughts. And that mindset matches the unhealthy eating behaviors, and then you get the results of the overweight. Okay, mind first, body follows. You might want to write that down. Mind first, body follows. And if you want your body to follow and you want the weight loss to work, you got to get your head in the right place. That's 92.8% of the whole game of this whole thing that you want to do of losing weight and keeping it off. So my client Z, she had been having major issues with yo-yo dieting and then not believing that she could even ever get past a certain weight on the scale. And I think that was like 145, something like that. I'd have to go back to my specific notes, but just imagine if you had it in your mind that I can't weigh less than 150, let's say, then you won't. And it's not going to happen, even if in the past you weighed 130. Isn't that interesting? So anyway, I coached Z using my proven step-by-step system in the Inner Self Diet. These steps have been proven to work ever since I've been doing this work, since 2009, which is kind of a long time ago. And they have succeeded because the Inner Self Diet, it's not a food diet. It unravels your mental and emotional blocks that are standing in your way right now of doing whatever it is that you already know you could be doing to get that weight off, but you're not doing it. And you're not able to do it because your head and your heart is in the way. So what do? You do what everybody else thinks that they're supposed to do. You go look for another food diet, you make another New Year's resolution, and then you flop on your face, flop on your buttocks, you fall down, you fall back into your old eating habits, and then every time you do that, you start losing more and more and more and more hope. And eventually, unfortunately, you get to the place where you just totally give up and you're frumpy and fat, and then you're mad at anyone else who loses weight. So that's an unfortunate place to be in. You don't have to take that route if you do the inner self steps to get your head in the right place, get your emotional state in the right place, and then move forward with the actions that will get the weight off of your body. Does this make any sense at all? Any sense at all? Hey, if you want to learn just a little bit more, go over to www.easyfunweightloss.com, www.easyfunweightloss.com. Download my free download. Check it out. It's totally free. Can't lose anything by checking it out and getting it now at www.easyfunweightloss.com. And I just remembered something else while I was sharing that web address with you. Another thing about Z, she's allowing me to share her before and after pics with you. So I'm going to do another podcast specifically dedicated to her. And then in that podcast post over on fearlessfatloss.com, I'll post her pics. You can watch it, or not watch them, but see them and raise more hope of what's possible for you. Now, I know that there's millions of before and after pictures that you can find on the internet, but the truth is anybody can lose weight. Anybody can. But when you go about it the right way, then you don't gain it back. And the right way is you've got to address the root issues that are causing you to be fat in your head and be fat in your body and be fat in your emotional state right now. If you don't address those issues, what is going to change? You know? In fact, you know what? You can even watch My 600-Pound Life and you see episode after 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 episode. It goes on and on and on and on forever of examples of people who do not have the tools to heal their inner self, and they are totally stuck, and they're addicted to food, and they're stuck in fear, they're stuck in self-loathing, they're stuck in victimhood, and even weight loss surgery can't fix that. I saw an episode recently of some woman who had had the surgery in the past. She gained all the weight back, and now she's looking for a second chance, and she's still not addressing the root causes. And Dr. Now knows this. He tells them this, you know? And there's different ways to do that, you know? If you don't want to do it fast and you're not really looking for results and you're more just wanting to talk and think about things, then go ahead and get some therapy. I'm not a therapist. I am a professional permanent weight loss coach. My specialty is the mind. I'm a certified master NLP practitioner. I have several other certifications that are all focused on the mind-body connection. And as a coach, my job is to help my coaching clients get from where they are to where they want to be as quickly as possible. And the mission of the Inner Self Diet, when I have a new client who enrolls and it's a mutual good fit for me to coach them and for them to allow me to coach them, their mission, if they choose to accept it, is to immerse themselves in the experience of the Inner Self Diet, which will, when they do this, shift their mind and their emotional state and then shift their behaviors so that then guess what happens as a result? They start losing physical weight, which is what they want. They come to me because they want to lose weight. A lot of them come from my podcast. They're awesome, awesome, awesome people. I love my podcast peeps. Anybody who is from my podcast who fills out an application to speak with me, and I'll share that with you before we're done here today. Anybody who does that and they're from my podcast, they jump to the front of the line above other people who don't listen to my podcast, because my podcast peeps get it that it's 92.8% about what's in your head. If you don't clear the fat clutter, the fat mindset, the fat thinking, the fat beliefs out of your head, and remember again, write this down, fat, what is it? F-A-T, fear-attracting thoughts. If you don't clear that stuff out of your head, your behaviors are going to match. Your behaviors will be fat. You'll continue to choose the foods that match your inner self programming. And if your inner self programming is fat, your behaviors and your food choices and your eating habits, it's all going to match up. So remember, mind first, body follows. You want the body to follow? You want to get fit, trim, healthy, look your best? You want to step out and step up and show up in your life looking your absolute best? Mind first, body follows. Did you get that? Write it down. Mind first, body follows. Well, write it down if you really want to begin having some kind of an awareness and an aha moment that, wow, maybe this is why I have failed so many times with all those food diets, because I was missing the mindset piece, and the food diets can't give that to you. Does this make sense? Okay? So this is all good news. You just need the inner self steps to finally put all the pieces of the puzzle together so that then you can actually get yourself in motion to get that weight off of your body. And how you get the weight off of your body is the healthiest eating plan for you personally. All right? So when my clients come into the Inner Self Diet, I'm not giving them a food plan or a meal plan to follow. They already know what they need to do to get to their healthiest weight. Many of them have done it before, but they always ended up backsliding because they didn't have that inner self foundation to really be that on the outside. So, hey, before we get done here today, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share with you these 7 keys to winning with your weight in 2020. 7 secrets, okay? And before we're done, if you are like my awesome weight loss coaching clients who I coach, if you are serious about transforming your inner world so that you can get a body that matches, if you're serious about moving out of that place of hopelessness and helplessness, moving out of that place of fear and self-loathing to move into the place where you actually feel really good about yourself, move into the place where you're actually starting to love yourself and like yourself and appreciate yourself and be happy with yourself, and changing your eating habits, letting the binge eating go, letting the emotional eating go, letting the self-sabotage go. If you're serious about making 2020 your best year you've ever had, and then getting all the tools that you need to keep going with that the rest of your life, then before we're done here today, I will share with you what your first step is, but it's only for you if you really are serious about doing this. You know, here's the truth. Nobody can help anybody who doesn't want to help themselves. You know, there's a lot of people out there with a heavy victim mentality, and they are blaming their overweight on anything and everything outside of themselves. They even blame the government. They blame anything. Their husband, their kids, the weather, their boss, their mom, their dad, anything. They blame whatever, right? They're not looking at what they are doing to themselves. They're not in their power. They are stuck in fear and helplessness and hopelessness and victimhood. And whenever you're in that place, you are not in your own power. You got to get into your own driver's seat of yourself, which all starts with your mind, in order to get into the place where you can easily take the actions that you need to take to get the physical weight off. This is a complete system that you're dealing with here. You can't force the body to change if you don't have your head lined up and if you don't have your heart lined up, your emotional state. Mind first, body follows. Are you getting this? Even just a little bit? Okay? All right. So, what are these 7 secrets to win with your weight in 2020? Okay? Let's go. Number 1, you got to get real with yourself. And if you are one of my awesome podcast peeps, you know what this means. And you have been listening to my Get Real episodes ever since I started doing them the first week of January, or not the first week, the first month of January 2013. And ever since I launched this podcast, the JoLynn Braley Show, I have done one Get Real episode per month. And the Get Real episodes, it's all about, hey, what the heck is going on here? What are you doing? What are you saying? Do they match? What do you want? How are you going to get there? Let's stop lying to ourselves. Let's stop making excuses. Let's come out of the river of denial and come into the land of what's really happening here. Stop dreaming about weight loss. Actually start taking action. So you got to get real. You got to get real with yourself. And that means becoming and being willing to be 100% honest with yourself. And that could be really difficult. All right? It can be a heck of a lot easier if you have a professional permanent weight loss coach in your corner who actually believes in you and is helping you to step by step, get real with yourself for the purpose of getting to where you want to go. And keep in mind, getting real with yourself is not about beating yourself up or criticizing yourself. It's simply about the fact that you can't change anything that you're not aware of. And there's a lot of people out there who are, well, I already talked about this, okay? Rewind this podcast. I talked about people being in denial, right? So you can't get from where you are to where you want to be by keeping the blinders on. You got to come out of that, and it starts with getting real with yourself. Number 2, you got to create a healthy relationship with food. Just imagine if food were a person, what kind of relationship do you have with it right now? Do you have a combative, abusive, fear-based relationship with food? Or do you have a healthy, holistic, loving, and I mean healthy love? Healthy love is not a behavior of self-abuse. So do you have a healthy relationship with food where you respect it and you enjoy what you eat, but it's healthy food that fuels your body? It gives you energy. It gives you high nutrition. Makes you feel awesome about yourself when you cook it up and you plan your meals out in advance. It makes you feel like you are really showing up for yourself and you're really taking care of yourself. You got to create a healthy relationship with food if you really are going to win with your weight in 2020. Number 3 secret of these 7 secrets to winning with your weight in 2020. Oh, by the way, did I tell you that the reason that I'm giving you 7 secrets to win with your weight in 2020 is because this is an extension of podcast episode 376, which was last week, celebrating 7 years of the JoLynn Braley Show. So you see the 7. I just wanted to point that out because it makes me excited to talk about it, okay? It's good to be excited about what you're doing. Are you excited about living a healthy lifestyle? If you're not, how in the heck are you ever going to get to your goal weight? Now that's quite an aha moment, isn't it? You can actually get to that place where you enjoy the journey, but you got to change your mind in order to do it. And that's the hardest work there is if you don't have the tools to do it, if you don't have a step-by-step system to follow, if you don't have accountability, if you don't have the right coach in your corner who is willing to be honest with you and help you get from where you are to where you want to go. All right, so number 3 secret to win with your weight in 2020, you got to stop binge eating. And the number 4 secret, you got to stop emotional eating. These behaviors, binge eating and emotional eating, they're not going to get you to the promised land. And where is the promised land? The promised land is this place that you want to get to where you look great in your jeans, you have high energy, you feel great about yourself, you've reached that place of freedom, and you're really rocking it for yourself. Showing up, looking your best, feeling your best, believing in yourself, taking care of yourself, loving yourself, appreciating yourself. And these behaviors of binge eating and emotional eating, they are not a match to this result. So they have to go. How do they go? You got to start with your mind. You got to have a system of tools and steps to work through that so that you can change your behaviors. So number 5 secret to win with your weight in 2020, you got to get sleep. Did you know that if you don't get enough sleep and if you don't get deep sleep, your body is not even going to release the fat. Maybe it will eventually, but it's not going to be easy. You have got to get, there's actually been studies done on this. you have to get sleep. You can't be running around saying yes to everybody with no boundaries at all, being a doormat. This is one of the biggest challenges of all of my coaching clients since I've been coaching professionally since 2009. Saying yes to everybody else, which means that they don't have proper boundaries, and then it appears that they don't have any time to take care of themselves, but that's not true. You always have time for that which you value the most. And if you don't value yourself enough to set proper boundaries, then not only are you not getting enough sleep, but you're not losing weight either. And then you're turning to food as a crutch to try to feel better when it's not. This is not a problem of the food. Yes, there are foods that are extremely unhealthy and obesity provoking. But you got to change your mind in order to let those things go easily. Let that food go easily. You got to change your mind to let the binge eating go. Let the emotional eating go. You got to change your mind to put the right structures in place so that you're getting enough sleep and you're getting the right kind of sleep. The weight on your body is only a symptom of deeper core issues that you have not addressed. And the good news is you can learn how to address them and feel great while doing it and get to the other side of this and actually get the weight loss you want. Number 6 secret to win with your weight in 2020, you've got to create a daily practice to reconnect your mind-body connection, to heal your mind-body connection, to get that mind-body connection in place. This daily practice must address your mindset. It must address your emotional state. And it must be a holistic daily practice that also supports you living a healthy physical lifestyle. Without this in place, you are at the mercy of your current inner self fat programming. And how do you know that you have fat programming? FAT, fear attracting thoughts. How do you know that that is the programming you are running in your inner self? Look at your thoughts, your emotions, and your behaviors and your results. That will tell you. Okay? So you got to have that daily practice in place. This is so much easier if you just reach out and, well, this is what I do with my coaching clients in the Inner Self Diet. It's just 300 million times easier to get the help that you could get if you are fed up with the long, slow route of doing things. And the long, slow route is where you just keep slogging away on your own, telling yourself that all you need is a new diet and just start that on Monday, and picking and choosing, trying to piece things together here and there from different podcasts, from different newsletters, from different books, and you never actually get anywhere because nothing is really being implemented. You don't have accountability. Without accountability, it's easier just to eat that box of Oreos and keep the cycle going. You know what I mean, Jean? So that leads us into number 7, the 7th secret to winning with your weight in 2020, get support. Nobody can do this successfully alone. If you could have done this alone, why are you still here struggling after all these years? Does this make sense? You know, when I work with my coaching clients in the Inner Self Diet, they always tell me, they're like, wow, this is like so different. And it would be hard for me to even explain this to people. I don't know how you explain it, JoLynn. So I really don't explain it. I just talk about the fact that if you ever get to the point where you're willing to love yourself enough to do the required inner self work to set yourself free, then great, it actually works. It takes you from this place of frustration and shame and embarrassment and stuckness that you're living in right now, and it moves you along the path as you walk the path. You are the one walking the path once you get in. As you walk along that path and you're doing your steps, what happens is you get into the zone of struggle-free freedom with your eating and your weight. And what does that mean? Well, I've done several podcasts about struggle-free weight loss. If you search in the JoLynn Braley Show for that phrase struggle-free, struggle-free, you will find those podcasts. But in a nutshell, struggle-free weight loss means that you are living a healthy lifestyle without sabotaging yourself. You're not holding yourself back anymore. You're not eating healthy during the day and binge eating at night. You're not taking one step forward and 5 steps back. You're just easily living healthy and fit like it's not any big deal because it's become who you are. That's all. And I know that this sounds impossible, and how could that ever be? But that's because you are listening to me right now without the mindset that you need to make this a reality. That's why it sounds impossible. If you already had the mindset in place, well, heck, if you are one of my graduates of the Inner Self Diet and you are using your tools, then you're already in the struggle-free zone. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you're not, and you don't, and you're not there, then hearing me talk about living a healthy lifestyle without struggle, I'm sure that it sounds like, wow, that sounds like impossible. I've never been there. Of course you've never been there because you haven't done the inner self steps to get there. That's the only reason. It's not any big mystery. You have to do the steps in anything in life to get the result that you want. It's just like if you wanted to build a log cabin. Okay, if you want to build a log cabin, first of all, you have to go buy the land. Maybe you need to buy a permit. It depends on where you're going to build this log cabin. It depends on where on the planet you're doing this. And then you have to get all the materials. And then you have to take action to put those materials together unless you are hiring a team of builders to do it for you. Then you have to take the action to hire them and have them do it for you. Now, the thing is with weight loss and with changing your mindset, you can't hire that out. You're the only one that can do this for yourself. So, yeah. It's a good thing, and it's also a bad thing. The good news about it is that you have the power to change if you are willing to step up for yourself and get the change. The bad thing about it is you got to do it for yourself. You can't sit back and think that a pill or buying a book is just going to make some magic change for you. You know what I mean, Jean? So these are the 7 secrets to winning with your weight in 2020. If you implement them, you can absolutely get your mind in the right place to get your body to follow. And you can make 2020 the year that you really, seriously, honestly, for real, get to your goal weight, create a healthy relationship with food, Stop the binge eating, stop the emotional eating, stop this struggle, and get to where you want to go. But this will only happen if you take action. Just listening to me talk about it, that's nice. Hey, a lot of times I get compliments that, oh, I love your podcast. I love your voice. That's nice. But then what are the results that you are living in your life, in your day-to-day life, from the moment you wake up in the morning and the first thought that you have is, what am I going to eat? What can I eat? What am I going to eat? And then you avoid seeing yourself in the mirror because you don't want to, already you just got out of bed and you don't want to feel that shame and embarrassment looking at your body. So you try to avoid it and you reach for whatever is available, or you hit the McDonald's drive-thru, or you run to Starbucks and you get all the stuff that it's not helping you get to your goal weight. But then you tell yourself, oh, tomorrow. I said I was going to do it today, but it's not the right time. Tomorrow. And then before you know it, guess what? We're going to be back into the holiday season of 2020. What's going to make it different for you? The only thing that's going to make it different for you is if you make a decision to make it different and you do it now. How are you going to do it? You got to do something new to get new results. That's the only way to get new results. You got to do something new. If you want to do something totally new that you have never done and you want my help to do it, and you're excited about hearing about the results of my coaching clients in the Inner Self Diet, actually, you know what? A way that you can raise your level of hope for what is possible is to search in the JoLynn Braley Show, whatever podcast outlet you're listening to this in, if it's iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you're listening to this, go into that application and search for the phrase real results. And you should be able to find my special 10-part sub-series of the JoLynn Braley Show, Real Results from the Inner Self Diet. And that sub-series has 8 interviews that I've done with 8 of my coaching clients over the years. And you can hear them talk about what their food and weight struggles were like before they met me and what their experience is now after doing my proven steps of the Inner Self Diet. Listen to them. These are real people. Hear them talk about themselves and what things were like for them before and after. So, like I said, the way that you find that is search in the podcast for the phrase real results. If listening to them does not help you raise your level of hope for what's possible for you, then maybe you just don't want to change. And hey, everybody has free will. It's all up to you where you're going to be 6 months from now. But what will determine where you are going to be 6 months from now is exactly what you do right now. If you decide, which you can't get out of making a decision, by the way. It's impossible to get out of making a decision. Because if you do not decide right now to do something totally brand new, then what you are doing is you are deciding to keep doing what you're doing. There's no way out. So if you have made a decision right now to stand up for yourself, to finally resolve the root of your ongoing food and weight struggles, to make this be the year that you actually do this thing, you're going to get to your goal weight and you're going to do it in a way that you've never done it before. Mind first, body follows. If you want my help to do this, go now to the web address www.discovery-session.com www.discovery-session.com. Enter your first name and email. on the next page, click the button, fill out the application, submit it, get it done so that my office gets it, and let's see about setting you up for a complimentary phone session with me to find out if or how I could possibly help you and help you on the call gain clarity about what's going on personally with you. Let's look at some things that you're not able to see on your own. Nobody can see on their own what you can see with a professional permanent weight loss coach who has the correct skills, talents, and abilities to help you move out of your stuck points and get into the place of freedom where you desperately, deeply want to be. So if you want to find out if it might be possibly a good fit for you to catapult yourself into that zone of struggle-free freedom, we don't know unless we talk on the phone. So we got to get on the phone, find out more. Let's see if it might be a possibility. If it's not, that's okay. But if it is, oh my gosh, what could change for you? Could be pretty amazing, huh? Go over now to www.discovery-session.com to hop on this now. I am JoLynn Braley, permanent weight loss coach, founder of the Inner Self Diet. I don't even remember if I really told you any more about myself like I said I was going to at the beginning of the podcast. But you know what? This is podcast number 377. If you want to go listen to all the other ones that I've got out there, go for it. But first, apply for your spot for this complimentary weight loss discovery session. Do that now at www.discovery-session.com. Get that done, and then go listen to more podcasts if you want to. Enter your first name and email at discovery-session.com, and then on the next page, click the button, complete the application, get that submitted to my office. That's the way to do it. I wish you your best life living inside of your ideal body. Yay!